Hello, my beautiful feather tribe, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Helen, and I am going to be doing this reading for you today, which is all about you, your partner, your romantic partner, and your relationship. So the way that this reading is going to go, I'm just going to quickly walk you through it. We are first going to have a look at yours and their energies. Then we're going to see the energy of the relationship itself, where it is currently at. And then we are going to get some more information with tarot cards, giving us an indication of where this relationship is going next, or just, giving you advice about it as well, how you can get it to where you want it to go. And and then we're going to end with some advice from Spirit regarding your relationship. So that is the gist of today's reading. And as you can see, we have some piles again to choose from. But this time you get to choose different oracle card decks. So the first one representing pile number 1 is the Yogic Path Oracle deck. So it's this very bright, colorful oracle deck with these gold elements. And then also we have a green opal stone attached to this pile as well, just so you know it would be easier for you to choose depending on how you like to go about picking your piles. So there we go, that's pile number 1. For pile number 2, we have the Magical Spirit Oracle deck. And we have a tiger's eye, we have a tiger's eye stone that is also representing pile number 2. So there we go. For pile number 3, we have the Amenti Oracle. And the stone attached to this one is the Amazonite. So as you can see, all of these stones are unrefined. And yeah, I don't know how well, again, I don't know how well the camera is picking them up, but there we go. And then finally, for pile number 4, we have the Work Your Light Oracle. Yeah, I think you should be able to see it better if I tilt them a bit. That way the pattern picks up a bit more. So there we go. And then a rose quartz. Again, oh, I think it is focusing on it now. So there we have it, the 4 piles. And as always, as I say, when you feel called to watch more than one pile, feel free to, but just bear in mind that generally there's going to be one pile specifically that speaks to your circumstances the most closely, or resonates with you the most. And if you are watching these readings or this reading and you don't really recognize your story anywhere, then it might just be that this reading is not targeted at you, because maybe someone else needs it more than you do at this time. So just don't try to force anything to fit. And as always, take these messages with a grain of salt. Please remember that you have free will, and this is your, in your hands what to do with these messages. I am just the messenger, and if you don't like the sound of some messages, you don't have to take them on board, okay? But having said all of that, I'm going to leave you here to choose, and whenever you feel ready, you can go into the description box or the comment section down below and click on the timestamp that you need. So I will see you in just a bit. Hello, pile number 1, and welcome to your reading. First and foremost, I just want to say, please try not to mind my voice, because as I started doing this reading, my throat just got super weird. And as you can hear, most likely as well, I don't know what's going on, but it's just really difficult to speak, and my voice just keeps like doing strange things. So it's very difficult to talk for some reason at this time. So if you hear my voice, you know, getting a bit funky or something, please try to ignore that as much as possible. But anyway, let's try and do this thing. So as you can see, we have your sort of pre-prepared pile of oracle cards here waiting for you, because, you know, as you chose the Yogic Path oracle deck, you are going to see those cards in this pile, so, you know, don't you worry. But I'm just going to put them on the side here for the time being, because we are going to start off with some tarot cards first. I did this in my last reading and I really liked it, so I decided to do it again in this one. So I'm going to use a Major Arcana tarot deck to get the energies of both yourself and your partner. And then with the oracle cards, we're going to see the relationships energy at this time. So let's see. What is pile number 1's energy at this time? Could you please describe pile number 1's energy? Okay, interesting. We have the Emperor coming out first, and the energy of pile number 1's partner. Can you please describe pile number 1's partner's energy? Okay, interesting. We have the Tower, and the High Priestess is at the bottom of the deck. I'm just, you know, just because I looked at it and saw it, I'm going to show you too. And we are going to keep this in mind in case the High Priestess pops up again sometime in the tarot portion, but for the time being, we're just going to leave it here. And let's turn our gaze on the relationships energy. Okay, so the first card out is Ahimsa. I'm going to try and pronounce these cards as best as I can, but, you know, sometimes it may sound not that great, so I apologize. We also have number 29 reducing down to 11, which is a soul path number. Sometimes you will break before you bloom. Breaking into bloom, time, liberation, understanding. We have I spread joy. We have Priestess. How are you being called to step up and lead? And finally, we have Niyamas, which came out in reverse. Okay, pile number 1. So let's look at the cards that you got. So first, we're starting off with your energy, which came out as the Emperor card. The Emperor is a card of Aries, but it is very closely tied to the fire element in general, because it is a very powerful and determined energy. This archetype speaks about masculine energy. Now, even though this is speaking of masculine energy, it doesn't necessarily refer to gender. So whether you are female or male or anything in between, this is just that sort of determined, assertive, in control energy that makes things happen. The energy of the Emperor is very sort of strong-willed and also very at the top of their things, and they very often have to, you know, be in this leadership role where they also have to take care of other people, or where they have to be responsible for other people and sort of take on the burdens of the relationship. They are sort of the backbone. And now it's kind of interesting, the dynamic that I'm seeing between your energy and your partner's energy at this time. And I feel like there is a reason why you're coming out as the Emperor, because it almost feels like you don't have any other choice right now. Regardless of whether, you know, you are sort of usually in that role in, in your relationship, or whether you are not used to being in this leadership position, it feels like at this time it's needed, because your partner's energy is coming out as the Tower card. The Tower is a card of the planet Mars, and so it can be associated with Aries as well, or with Scorpio. So I'm just pointing out these zodiacal signs in case you resonate with them, or they symbolize your partner, or, in case they mean something to you. Now, the Tower energy is telling me that at this time, your partner may be going through some very, very big shifts and changes. They may not have the most stable time right now. These changes could mean that, they are experiencing some sort of life-altering situations, either with their career, within their family, or it could even be like an inner transformational thing where they just sort of are going through some sort of awakening, or they are realizing something about their bigger life path. And so they are starting to, want different things, or they're starting to question everything in their life and making these sort of bigger changes. But generally, the Tower card signifies unexpected shifts and changes, things that you don't see coming, and things that you don't necessarily have control over or instigate yourself. This is something that the divine plays a hand in and almost like pushes on you. And so it would make sense that with your partner's energy coming out as this very unstable, very much chaotic, very much trying to possibly, make sense of these changing things, or even trying to like grasp onto anything, more steady or secure, it makes sense that you would come out as the Emperor energy, being that sort of place of safety and security, and something that is steady, something that can be relied on. Now, whether your partner is actually doing that or not, that is up to you to, figure out for yourself. But it does seem that no matter what, your partner is not having the easiest time right now. Because I'm looking at this relationship energy in general, and a lot of it is making me feel that, you may almost be under some sort of pressure at this time to help your partner through this Tower energy. And I'm feeling that especially with these two cards. Actually, even this one as well, but I'm going to start with these two cards first. So you got this Ahimsa card, which speaks of non-violence and compassion. And then you also got the I Spread Joy card. Now, these two cards are mainly, you can't see them, can you? The text is just, it's super, super bright. Let me try again this. Okay, hopefully this is a bit better. So both of these cards are really speaking of, trying to be the one who brings this lighter sort of energy to the relationship, and who also is just very understanding and, again, has compassion towards the other person and what is happening. And so I do feel like this energy of compassion and space and understanding is very prevalent in this reading, and I feel like you are trying your best to do that for your partner. You are really trying your best to be there for them and to support them, but I don't feel like it is easy, because with the Emperor energy, this is a pressurized point. The Emperor is constantly under pressure. This is not a relaxing space to be in, and so I feel like this is somewhat weighing heavily on you, or this is having a really rather big impact on you as well, whatever this is happening with your partner. But I do feel like you are doing your best to make it easier on them. We also have this breaking into bloom, time, liberation, and understanding. So I do feel like this is one of those times where, there isn't really that much that you can do to help them go through this process or ease this transition period for them. And it is just taking time, and things may have sort of slowed down in your relationship, or it almost feels like, you know, that the sole focus of everything that is happening is on your person at this time and what is happening with them, which also, you know, would make sense. But I do feel like with this card specifically, breaking into bloom, it could be that right now, you know, as you're going through this tough time, there are sort of indications of your relationship becoming stronger as a result, or you can almost feel like, you know, even though it may be tough and even though it may be testing for the both of you, I feel like you are growing a lot as a person too through this process, and you are becoming much more sort of intimate and close as a result of going through these sort of hardships. Now we also have the priestess energy. How are you being called to step up and lead? Again, this is so interesting that we are getting the message of leading, because that's what I feel you are doing with the Emperor energy. And you know, it makes sense, because that's what relationships are all about, right? You know, if one person is struggling, then the other one is picking up the slack, or sort of trying to shoulder the responsibilities more themselves, so that the other person could figure their stuff out. So this is this beautiful energy that I feel like you are very, very well embodying. And then we also have this final card of Niyamas, which came out in reverse. And this is a card of needing to sort of go into isolation, or needing to soul search almost, you know, in order to figure out what the right path is, figuring out answers to bigger questions. And so I feel like very much this energy is speaking of your partner. So this makes me think that you could be sensing that your partner is somewhat distant from you, or that they are needing a lot of space and time for themselves, and that, you know, they may even be pushing you away in certain situations too, or certain situations where you maybe want to be there for them, and you maybe want to help them, but it almost feels like, you know, like they don't want your help, or that they are unable to accept it. And I feel like it's because of this Niyamas energy that, you know, this is just something that they have to figure out for themselves, within themselves, and there isn't really that much that you can do to help them, you know, in that regard. But other than that, I feel like you are actually doing a very good job, and sort of possibly even taking over some responsibilities that usually are done by your partner as well. So you may find yourself in like these sort of different roles that you may not be used to, and sort of maybe even surprising yourself of how capable and in control you are of situations, or how good you are at being in this like leadership position where you sort of take care of things or make things happen. So yeah, I actually feel like this is a majorly transformative period for both you and your partner. And ultimately, I feel like at the end of this process or journey, you're going to come out of it a lot stronger than you were before it. So yeah, that's what I'm sort of picking up on in these general energies. But let's look at the tarot portion as well and see what we can find out more specifically. So I'm going to get all the cards out first, and then we are going to talk about them one by one. So first and foremost, looking at all of these cards and the amount of pentacles and swords, and I mean we also have one wands card as well. So looking at all of these different elements that we have on the on the table here, it is making me feel that this tower moment that happened for your partner, or that they are experiencing right now, could have to do with their financial stability, or maybe their work, career, job position, something like that. Because there is clearly some sort of material or physical element here that is very much being highlighted, and that seems to be causing a lot of this stress. So yeah, you know, you could be experiencing a period of like financial instability, or maybe they lost their job, maybe the salary that they used to earn was cut back, or just, you know, they're experiencing some other sort of just chaotic energy at work or with their money situation. Maybe some investments, you know, blew up or something like that. But I want to start with the underlying energy first, which is the Five of Swords. Now, the Five of Swords is an energy of like mental conflict, but also verbal conflict, you know. So I feel that this card is symbolizing almost two aspects. I feel that this is this turmoil that your partner is experiencing within their own mind, and maybe even like beating themselves up about not being better prepared for whatever the situation is, or just not seeing an instant way out of the situation. So in that regard, I feel like it's talking about them, but just as a relationship energy, I feel like this is indicating that, you know, it could be a very trying time. As I said, it feels like it's not easy for you to be in this Emperor energy, or, you know, this relationship is sort of being tested because of the hardships that your partner is going through. And so I feel like there could be some butting heads, or, you know, maybe even your partner sort of lashing out at you because of the pain that they are feeling inside. That's what the Five of Swords is indicating, that, you know, there could be some clashing of energies, and that some of the things being said are not necessarily coming from a thought out or thought through space. They are just sort of, you know, projections of pain and dissatisfaction and almost like helplessness or frustration that the person is experiencing themselves. And I do feel like you may be sort of experiencing a bit of a lashing out at times. Oh, and also I feel like the Five of Swords could say that you may have very different opinions about how to work through the situation that is currently happening in your relationship. You may have a whole different idea of what should be done, or what the best course of action is, whereas maybe your partner has their own way in mind and maybe very like adamant on going about that way. Or, you know, maybe you are, again, apply it how it resonates, but it does definitely feel like you are not really seeing eye to eye at this moment. But as I said, I feel like this whole situation is actually, you know, bringing you closer, or, you know, getting you to a stronger place, and we will talk about that in a second. So let's talk about the Ten of Wands first and foremost. So this is the first card that you got in this spread, and this card is speaking of the underlying cause that has led to this current energy in your relationship. Now, obviously with the Ten of Wands, this is indicating that the relationship is under a lot of stress and a lot of strain. And I do feel like, again, this woman on this Ten of Wands card is making me think of your energy. As I said, I do feel like at this time you are the one who is in the position to carry the majority of the responsibility, or the majority of the obligations in the relationship, almost like, you know, shouldering the whole thing yourself because of the things that your partner is going through. And so I do feel like it is difficult at this time, you know, to handle everything that needs to be handled, to do the mundane day-to-day living, as well as try and figure out how to manage this whole tower situation and sort of build your way up again from whatever this destruction was, or upheaval. But yeah, this just feels to me that, you know, it's a very straightforward message of the relationship being under sort of a struggling energy, or you being under a bit of a weight here because of the circumstances, and it's not easy. obviously it's not easy, and there is a lot of stress and there is a lot of anxiety, and it is very tiring. So clearly that's what this, you know, situation is obviously talking about. But looking at the goal of your relationship next, this is represented by the Fool in reverse. Now, this goal can be your goal for the relationship, it can be your person's goal, or it can be a goal that you both share. But seeing as you are sort of not really, you know, seeing eye to eye at this time with the Five of Swords, I do more so feel like this Fool energy is talking about either a goal that you have or that your person has. But with the Fool in reverse, this is an interesting one, because on the one hand, I do feel like it is indicative of an energy of, you know, not wanting to rush things, almost like wanting to take things slowly or be in the moment so as not to, you know, make any hasty mistakes or anything like that, trying to move forward. And so, yeah, I do feel, honestly, I feel much more that this energy is your energy, or this is sort of what you want for the relationship. It's almost like, you know, wanting to slow things down, wanting to be very deliberate and very careful in like planning things out, because again, you know, that's what the Emperor energy does. The Emperor is very, very practical, very logical and rational. They put emotion aside and they try to do the thing that is best for everyone involved, and that would, you know, bring about the biggest amount of long-term stability, basically. So this is a very forward-looking energy, and you know, focusing on the long term and doing the hard work. Whereas, you know, I feel like, and honestly, I don't even know why, because I'm not necessarily seeing any cards here that would indicate it. But for some reason, I am feeling like your partner might be looking for a quick fix or something to, you know, like get them out of a situation more quickly. So again, if we are taking this monetary example, let's just say, that, you know, they are facing some money difficulties, or they need to pay off some debts, but, you know, they are out of money, or they owe someone, or whatever this is. It feels like the solution to them would be to get one of those like speed loans, or, you know, the loans that you can get by text, or, and I'm not sure whether, you know, that's a thing in the States or abroad, but here in Estonia, we have this thing where you can like send a text to get a small loan, but the interest rates on that loan is like, they are crazy, crazy, crazy big. And so usually, you know, people avoid those types of things and they stay away from those types of things. But you know, some people can get sort of in a bit of a nasty spot because of them. And it's one of those things that like seems good in the moment, you know, to get this quick fix, to get the money quickly. But then afterwards it has like long-term repercussions, because paying back that loan is actually a lot more expensive, you know. And it I don't know, again, I don't know why I feel that way, but for some reason I do. And so it almost feels like your goal is the more overpowering with the Fool in reverse. Whereas, you know, you don't want to do something stupid or something hasty and something in the moment that in the long run is going to come back to bite you in the butt, you know. But another message that I'm feeling with this Fool card in reverse is that, and I do feel like this could be your partner's sort of wish for the relationship, is just to sort of get this thing over with as quickly as possible and just almost want to forget about it. I almost get this like forgetful energy with the Fool in reverse that that, you know, your partner may be wanting at this time, to almost like pretend like none of this is happening, or like it isn't affecting the relationship and it isn't affecting you, that it's just something that is happening to them, almost like in a cocoon. And so yeah, so this is somewhat taking me back to this Niyama's card, right? Where I was feeling that your partner could be pushing you away in some situations, or almost like saying that they don't want your help, or that they can handle everything by themselves and that they don't need support. So yeah, so I'm seeing the Fool card in two different ways. By the way, also, interestingly enough, the Fool is a card of Uranus, which is, in modern astrology, talking about Aquarius, but the Fool can also be tied to Aries, because it's the first card in the major arcana, and Aries is the first zodiacal sign in the zodiac. So yeah, it does sort of bring me back to your energy somewhat again. But going back to the third card in the spread, we have the King of Pentacles, which is a card of Taurus, but it can talk about any earth sign, really. So that would be Virgo, Capricorn, or Taurus. Now, this card is speaking specifically of the obstacle or challenge that needs to be overcome in order to get to this goal, this full reversed goal. And the King of Pentacles is very clearly a message of, stability and security and long-term, making decisions with the long term in mind, and making wise investments, making wise decisions, so that, you could be secure in the long term. And so again, this very heavily makes me sort of feel a pull towards your Emperor energy, because, these two cards are very, very closely tied, the King of Pentacles and the Emperor. And so I do feel like that is the sort of the biggest challenge at this time, to almost get both of you on the same page, that that's what needs to be done, and that there isn't any point in like rushing things or making quick fixes, because again, in the long run, they are not going to be helpful. And I feel like sort of getting to that space where you both see eye to eye, where you both agree on the course of action, the best course of action to take, that is the biggest challenge here. Taking charge of the situation and considering things carefully. And also, like, I feel like the challenge here is to make decisions that would benefit the both of you. And so I feel like you both sort of need to be a part of this decision making process, or that the goal or the vision needs to be the same for the both of you. And that is, how can you get the best long-term stability for this relationship, and for your livelihood, or for the future in general. And I feel like sort of getting to that point where you both see things the same way in how to get there, that is obviously the biggest challenge here. But the advice for overcoming this challenge is the Seven of Pentacles. And the Seven of Pentacles is actually a very straightforward card in this situation, because this is indicating that what is needed is patience. You need a bit of time for things to sort of play out, but also just sort of realizing that things don't happen overnight, and that, good strategies and good things, including relationships, right? Steady and secure and strong relationships are built over time. And it does take patience, it does take compassion, it does take making compromises, and working for the bigger goal, or the goal of the relationship, and the well-being of the relationship, not just the well-being of you or your partner, not the individual, but the relationship itself. And so I feel like the advice here is to have patience for the sort of situation to calm down a bit, and again, for the answers to sort of be illuminated, or some viable situations coming to light in their own accord, and that there doesn't need to be that much like struggle behind it. But I also feel like with the Seven of Pentacles, or the Seven of Coins, that there is this advice on being very careful and considerate about the sort of decisions that you make, and especially again keeping in mind how the decisions that you're making now are going to affect you in the future, and whether there are going to be some long-term repercussions or consequences because of the things that you are deciding to do now. So yeah, there is a lot of sort of contemplation, consideration that seems to be at the forefront here. But now the last card in the spread is the King of Swords, which again is a card of Aquarius, but it can talk about any air sign. So that would be Gemini or Libra or Aquarius. Again, take it as it resonates, and you know, if those signs don't mean anything to you, you don't have to pay attention to them. But the King of Swords is reflecting how this relationship is going to be transformed as a result of going through this goal or attaining this goal, and sort of where it is going to take you as a partnership after all of this is said and done. And I feel like with the King of Swords, as I said, this whole situation, especially if you manage to, you know, stay prudent and pragmatic and focus on the long-term stability and security, it is going to take you to a much, much more stable place, and a place where you sort of feel like things are on track, like things are the way that they're supposed to be, and you feel like both of you feel very, very secure in the connection. Now, it's interesting also that we are getting two king energies in this layout, which again is very heavily masculine energy. And so I feel like that's really what is necessary at this time for both of you to get sort of what you want, and ultimately for the well-being of this relationship. The masculine energy is what is needed to get you through the situation. So again, sort of pushing emotion aside for the time being and not letting the emotions overwhelm you into making some sort of rushed decisions that are going to ultimately not play out for the best. So, you know, keeping your wits about you, having a calm, cool, collected approach to the situation, sort of going about the whole problem in a very like pragmatic and rational way, and just thinking things through. And I feel like that is really like the key here with you know, also being patient and giving time to things, giving time for the emotions to settle down as well, and coming up with a plan, like actually vocalizing it and saying it out loud, like what it is that you both want, what it is that would make you feel safe, that would make you feel secure. But generally, I do feel like with the King of Swords that, you know, there is going to be this this feeling of being safe and being right where you sort of belong, and finally like arriving on the same page with this King of Swords energy. So yeah, wow, I honestly feel like this is fairly straightforward, so I don't really even need to clarify anything, but I do want to get a couple of oracle cards as advice for, you know, for this relationship and for you. So yeah, let's see what sort of advice we can get for this reading and for your relationship in general. What sort of advice do you have for pile number one regarding their reading? What sort of advice do you have for pile number one regarding their reading? Okay, we have one card. Ooh, we have a honeymoon. Enjoy the bliss of holiday time together. So I actually feel like this is a really good piece of advice. So just sort of taking time out of the mundane and of the day-to-day so that, you know, you could have a bit of an easier time, not having to worry about, you know, all of the responsibilities and all of the sort of day-to-day things that you need to that you take care of. And also I feel like it would give your partner a chance to get their mind off of whatever it is that they are going through. So, you know, just even if it's just one like day trip someplace that you both enjoy, or just into nature, or taking a spa day, or, you know, going for a walk somewhere, something like that. I feel like it would do both of you a lot of good to just get out of the sort of the, you know, the mundane day-to-day life at this time. Oh, at the bottom of the deck we have stay optimistic about your love life. Positive thinking and faith will bring you romance. Yeah, so definitely this positivity and optimism is what is needed right now. I don't know, again, oh yeah, here we go. But I want to get one more card for you. Can we get one more piece of advice for pile number 1 regarding their reading? Oh, thank you. Okay, so we have 2 more cards that you got. The first one is keep an open mind. Your soulmate may differ from your usual type and expectations. So, I mean, this is clearly more so targeted at like single people. But in this context, I do feel like, you know, keep an open mind is a very apt advice for the both of you. Because, you know, it is clear to me from these cards that you are not... you know, you both sort of see the situation in different ways, and you both want different things out of the situation, or wanting to go about resolving it in different ways. So just sort of, again, you know, keeping an open mind towards your partner and towards their viewpoint is also what I feel like is going to take the strain off of the relationship. And, you know, just sort of trying to figure out a beautiful, like, middle way, or just... again, a way that both of you can sort of get what you want is probably very helpful. And we also have flirt. Extend your light-hearted energy to others. So again, this is, you know, talking again about this more light-hearted, more joyful, more playful energy that I feel like is at this time lacking a bit in your relationship. And again, for obvious reasons, you know, because there is quite a lot of difficult things that you need to go through. And so, you know, that sort of energy may just not have as much of a chance to come about. So making the time consciously to get away from it, or to just, you know, bring back this more flirtatious energy with the both of you in this relationship. Because at this time, it feels like whatever this tower moment is that your person is experiencing, it almost feels like it is... you know, coming in between you in this relationship, rather than you sort of becoming a unified front against whatever this issue is. It almost seems to be like dividing you a bit. And so that's why I feel like this lighthearted energy of just sort of zooming out and, you know, taking the bigger picture, again, thinking of the bigger picture with the King of Swords. I feel like that is really ultimately what is really very, very helpful at this time. Just so you know, the emotions wouldn't overwhelm you, and, you know, you would get into a state where you say something that you regret afterwards. But yeah, at the bottom of the deck we have make the effort. Great love is worth taking the steps you're guided to take. Yep, see? So it does seem like right now, you know, it is most likely not going to be as easy to sort of switch off from the stress and the things that you are going through and experiencing, and even the Five of Swords energy of, you know, not seeing eye to eye. It may be very difficult to switch off from that energy and try and bring back this more like loving and unified energy. But I feel like you are, as I said, I feel like you are trying to do that, and so definitely, you know, I salute you in that sense. But I feel like maybe doing something like more planned as well in that regard, as I was talking about the spa day, or just a retreat that you can take, that might be very, very helpful too. But pile number 1, I'm going to leave it here. I hope that this reading spoke to you, and if it did, please don't forget to leave me a thumbs up or a comment in the comment section telling me that you watched this pile and that it resonated. I would love to hear from you. But other than that, if I don't see you in any of the other piles, please take care of yourselves, and I am wishing you and your relationship all the best. Please take care of yourselves. Bye-bye. Hello, pile number 2, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Tiger's Eye Stone as well as the Magical Spirit, but we are going to look at the pre-prepared oracle cards in a second, because we are first going to start off with the Major Arcana tarot cards to look at your and your partner's energy. I did this in my last reading and I really loved the way that, you know, the whole reading flowed. Yeah. So I wanted to do that in this one as well. So without further ado, let's look at what is your energy like at this time. Oh, okay, interesting. Oh, wow. So I don't have any reversals in the deck, so whenever a card comes out and turns itself in a, you know, around, then that is significant to me. So you got the Lover's card, which came out in reverse, even though it was upright before. So that is your energy, but let's look at your partner's energy. Okay, and we have the Moon. Interesting. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Justice energy, and even though I'm not really focusing on the Justice energy in and of itself, I'm just showing it to you, and in case it comes out afterwards, then we will talk about it more. But right now, let's turn our focus on the oracle cards. So these oracle cards are going to tell us about your relationship or the current situation in your relationship. So we have number 28, which reduces down to 10, which further reduces down to 1. So this is cyclical energy. And this one says Dark Night of the Soul, Transformation, Awakening, Tower. Interesting. Oh, actually, sorry. It says something on the book here too, or the pages. She dug until she she dug caverns in her heart until she found the light. That's what it says. Okay, we also have Muladhara. I'm sorry if I am, massacring the name. But this is the root chakra. We also have I Embrace the All. We have Pleiades, Double Mission, Channeling and Uplifting Humanity. Oh, interesting. So we had number 28 here, and now we have number 37, which again reduces down to 10 or 1. That which is true will always be enough. Truth, honor, Empress, integrity. So, pile number 2. Your cards are somewhat baffling, or I am having a bit of a hard time navigating through these energies, because there just seems to be a lot of confusion and a lot of things sort of being very undefined, or very almost like in this in-between state where they are not one and they are not the other, or something is in the process of changing. And so it feels somewhat difficult to navigate, but let's get through these cards one by one, and hopefully it will be easier to make sense of it then. So we're starting off with your energy, and your energy came out as the Lovers in reverse. Now the Lovers card is a card of Gemini, and so you may have prominent Gemini placements, or that may just be somewhat significant to you, but I am feeling that at this time you may feel somewhat disconnected from your partner, or you may feel a bit of a gap, or there is some space between you and your person, some distance. And honestly, right now, I'm not sure whether that distance is coming from your side of things, whether, this is because you are wanting to have space for yourself, or whether this is because your person wants to have space for themselves, or, you know, whether this is just something like a byproduct of what is happening in your relationship currently. But this feels like there isn't that much like understanding or comprehension, because the Lovers card, you know, when it is coming out upright, the Lovers card is a card of choice, and it is indicating, you know, that there is a need to make a decision about taking something forward or taking something to the next step. And now when it is coming out in reverse, it almost feels like you are not ready to take things to the next level, or you may be or maybe you have taken things to the next level or taken some sort of concrete steps to solidify the relationship some way, but now you may be sort of having second thoughts about it, or, you know, going over it in your head whether that was the right thing. It just feels like there is a lot of confusion and a lot of going back and forth within yourself, and just sort of being in your own little bubble, where it almost feels like, even though this is a relationship and this is supposed to be a team, it feels like your energy is very much your energy and your partner's energy is very much their energy. Like there is this divide that I feel that is present in your relationship right now. Because looking at your partner's energy, they are represented by the Moon card. Now this can talk about Pisces, because this is a card of Pisces, but this can also indicate Cancer. So, you know, either of those signs, if they mean something to you, or if they resonate with your partner, then take that on board. But just as an energy, the Moon card is very much a card of shadows. It's very much a card of being in a dark space and sort of trying to work your way through that space, because you are not able to see what is ahead. So you have to use your other senses, and namely your intuition, your instincts, sort of tuning into that internal wisdom or compass to guide you on this path. And a lot of the times the Moon card does bring up fears, because there is this element of, you know, not being able to see clearly, not having a firm understanding of what is going on or what the right path is. And so, you know, that sort of unknowingness or unknown energy is usually bringing up a lot of fears for a lot of people, you know, this sense that they are not in control of things. And so I do feel like, especially with both of these heavy water sign energies coming out too, you know, Cancer and Pisces, it could be that your partner is very much like withdrawing within themselves at this time, or they may not be sharing with you everything that they are going through or experiencing or thinking. They may not even share their fears with you openly. They just may be sort of struggling with them on their own. So as I said, it feels like you have some sort of issues that you are dealing with in your own mind, or some doubts or some worries, or just, you know, going over things. And your partner seems to be doing the same, but I don't feel like there is open communication between you. For some reason, I'm not feeling that, even though, you know, if we turn our focus on onto these cards here, we have, you know, Truth, Honor, Empress, Integrity, and we have this, you know, Pleiades energy as well, which has a heavy energy of communication behind it as well. So, you know, it's interesting that we're getting these cards of like honesty and integrity, but I almost feel like you are trying to, like both of you are trying to figure out what the right thing is for both of you, as well as for the relationship on a broader scale too. That's what I feel with this Pleiades energy, like this more, you know, this is more so talking about the collective energy and doing the right thing to up level or enhance the collective. And I feel like in this instance, the collective is referring to your relationship. Or just, you know, it feels like you are trying to do what is best for the both of you, for the relationship and for yourselves as individuals, sort of trying to figure out and find your way. But I feel like it's very much this sort of inner process that you are dealing with. And I'm also feel that with both of these cards, because we have this root chakra card and we have the dark night of the soul energy. And so it does seem like there are some sort of pretty like foundational changes that you are experiencing. And again, I feel like those are happening inside of you where you know, maybe, and I'm just pointing it out there in case that resonates for someone out there, maybe something happened in the external world as well that sort of shook up the foundation of the relationship or made these more, you know, these processes of change occur within you. So maybe there is an external reason for it too, but mainly I feel like this feels very much internal, and just sort of trying to figure out how to navigate these energies that are new to you, that you're unfamiliar with, and just sort of trying to find security in that, because the root chakra is very much an energy center of security, of your roots, of safety, of like where you actually feel grounded. And so, you know, if you don't feel safe or secure in your body or in your life, in your physical surroundings, then usually the root chakra sort of is indicative of that as well. Or there is, you know, the root chakra is either blocked or it's not working properly or something like that. Now, because the card came out upright, it's telling me that there isn't any like sort of blockage with that necessarily, but I just feel like you're trying to sort of find your way through this transformative period and trying to find safety in that. So basically the sense that I'm getting is that because you are changing as people, the relationship is changing as a result as well. Or, you know, for some of you, it could be the other way around, that something happened in your relationship, something that changed it to the sort of foundational core with the root chakra card here. And so as a result of that, both of you are also changing as individuals. I hope that that makes sense. Now, the last card that we have here is I Embrace the All. And so this is making me feel, because it has all of the different elements on the card there. And so this is making me feel like, again, like this zoomed out viewpoint, or almost like taking it all in as a whole experience, as a journey. And so I do feel like with this being here, what is being highlighted is that, you know, this may not be the most stable or secure time in your relationship right now. And so it's almost saying that, you know, the difficult times or the trying times are also part of the process, and that they are needed, they are necessary. So even though I feel like neither of you are having the best time dealing with whatever these changes are, there is actually value in that. And I feel like it is to sort of, again, take your relationship to the next level some way, or make it like stronger some way. And I feel like the last thing I want to say with this truth card is, you know, even though I feel like at this time you may not be openly speaking to each other about what is on your minds, or what sort of doubts or anxieties or fears you are dealing with, I feel like actually sharing those things might make it a lot easier for the both of you to go through this process. So, you know, if you have been thinking about opening up about certain things, but just not really being sure how your partner will react to it, or maybe even feeling like you don't want to be a burden to them, because it seems like you're both very much aware that the other is going through stuff as well. So if that's what has been sort of keeping you from sharing the truth, then I feel like this card is saying that, you know, it is encouraged to speak your truth and to say openly and honestly what is going on with you. And that may actually, you know, help your partner do the same as well and come out of their shell a bit more, seeing that it's safe to share it. Again, we get back to this element of safety with the root chakra. So clearly there is some sort of foundational issues that are at the forefront of your relationship right now, and there is a lot of like reflection or reconsideration and just trying to make sense of this transforming or new energy of the relationship. But yeah, let's look at the tarot cards as well. So if you resonated with this part of the reading with this energy, then definitely keep on watching, because we're going to see what the relationship is sort of moving towards. So let me just prepare these cards and then we'll get into the reading. Okay, so I just want to quickly dive into this reading because it is so fascinating. But before I do that, I just want to point out that, you know, the card that you got for the relationship, the first one, in fact, it was the Dark Night of the Soul, and the keywords were transformation, awakening, and tower. I hope that you will be able to see those keywords here. I just want to show them to you. There we go. I think it's somewhat being able to focus. So anyway, these are the keywords, right? And I find it fascinating that the two major Arcana cards that you got were the Tower and Judgment, which very much is a card of a rebirth or awakening. And so I just find it funny how that sort of energy was so clearly indicated in this tarot portion as well. But let's dig into it. So I actually want to start off with the underlying energy, which is the Eight of Cups. Now, the Eight of Cups is a card of leaving a familiar situation behind in search of something better, something more fulfilling. And even though ultimately this is the card that leads to the Nine of Cups, which is, you know, which is true fulfillment and contentment and just being in a place where you feel like everything is good, this is not an easy energy. The Eight of Cups is not an easy card. It's not easy to leave behind something that you have invested a lot of yourself into, or it's not easy to walk away from something that has been a part of your life for a very long time and a significantly, emotional part of your life. There is heavy emotional attachment that is indicated in this Eight of Cups. Even though it might not be, fulfilling anymore, it still means something, and there is still a lot of memories attached to it. And so I feel like with the Eight of Cups, this is saying that, the way that your relationship has been or was previously is not viable anymore. So there is this element of, either you or them walking away from the relationship or doing something that has changed the relationship. Or maybe even the both of you, right? That could be the case as well. But it just seems like your relationship is changed forever. And there is no going back to what it was before. And so having that as the sort of the context for all of these oracle cards, it makes a lot more sense now why there is this like haziness or why the security of the relationship has been altered that much. But let's go through all of these cards one by one. So we are starting the reading off with the Five of Pentacles. This card is talking about the underlying cause of the current situation in your relationship. So all of these oracle cards that we were talking about, describing your relationship, they are being, caused by the Five of Pentacles. And this is telling me that at this time, you are feeling, as I said, very much like distant from your partner, or that there is this empty space between you where you're not able to connect as well. Because the Five of Pentacles is a card of feeling lack, not feeling like your needs are being met, like you are taken care of. And again, it's interesting that, you know, in the Five of Pentacles, we have two people and both of them are struggling, but there is no contact between them. You know, none of them is like, neither of them is helping the other. They are just sort of struggling and they are in their own misery by themselves. And no, I don't want this to sound like, you know, both of you are in this massive misery, but it just feels like, you know, there is a difficulty that both of you are experiencing within yourselves, where you feel sort of neglected, or where you feel like you are not being heard, you are not being seen, you are not being understood. There is this chasm energetically that I feel like is there between you. And so I feel like both of you are sort of experiencing a very similar thing, but there isn't, as I said, it doesn't feel like you are communicating very openly about it. Now, the next card out is the Six of Pentacles, and this card is talking about a goal that you have for the relationship. Whether this can be a goal that you have for the relationship, that your person has for the relationship, or that the both of you share. And in this instance, I actually feel like this is a shared goal between the both of you. So it almost feels like you both want the same thing, but it's just not very easy to sort of get it. And now, again, you know, obviously, take it as it resonates. Even though I am feeling strongly that this is a thing that both of you want, if your situation is different and only one of you wants this, then, you know, again, apply that to your circumstances as you will. But the Six of Pentacles is an energy of making amends and finding a sort of way back to a more stable, a more harmonious, and a more unified place again. So in this relationship context, it just feels to me like, again, I do feel like the both of you want the relationship to start working again, to find this sort of common ground, or a place where you could make amends and sort of make up and get things flowing again. Get out of this space of lack, or this space of need, you know, and I almost feel like, again, it feels like there is a bit of what's the best way to say it? It feels like there is, I almost get this stubborn energy with the both of you, honestly, where like, it's like one wants the other to reach out and do something or take the first step in making amends. But because the other person is expecting or wanting exactly the same thing, no one is making a move, you know? That's what it feels like to me. So, yeah, this Six of Pentacles has a bit of a dual message in that sense to me, where, you know, you both want things to improve, but you also want the other person to be the one to reach out and to offer their help, or to say that they are sorry, or to come up with a solution or something like that, you know? But ultimately, I feel like both of you want the same thing. Again, you know, apply it to you, to your circumstances as you will. But we are moving on with the Tower card, and this is speaking of the obstacle or challenge that is standing in the way of reaching that goal. And so, you know, the Tower is a card of Mars. Mars as a planet is a planet of violence, is a planet of aggression, of conflict, of war, but also of like action and passion and desire. And it's that, you know, it's that burning planet pretty much. And so, you know, with the Tower energy, it's clear that, as I said, a foundation in your relationship has been shaken to the ground, or it's like either someone in the relationship did something to, you know, bring about this sudden upheaval in the foundation, or again, as I said, it could be a result of both of you sort of going through individual changes, and as a result, the dynamic of the relationship has changed as well. But the Tower is basically just indicating that, you know, the relationship has changed, and this is irreversible. There is no way to go back to what previously was. And the only way forward now is to build from the ground up and start laying a new foundation to the relationship. But another thing that the Tower always indicates is that whatever was broken down for a reason. You know, that if the foundation is broken down, then the foundation was shaky to begin with, and it wasn't meant to stand the test of time. So whatever this, intervention is, whether this is divine intervention or whether this is, something that someone did that caused this upheaval, it was almost like a ticking time bomb, and it was supposed to happen so that, a faulty construct could be broken down and something much more sturdy could be built in its space. Yeah. So, I'm just throwing it out there in case it resonates for some of you. There could be a scenario of like someone cheating on someone else, or, just infidelity being a keyword here that most likely broke the trust or the safety of the relationship. Now, I'm not saying that that's the case for all of you, but I do definitely feel that for someone out there watching this reading right now, that could be the case. And so that's why it's all so difficult to sort of reach out or find this common ground, because there is a lot of hurt around this Tower card and a lot of mistrust. But moving on to the advice portion of what would help you overcome this challenge is the Judgment. And Judgment is a card of Pluto. And Pluto in modern astrology is the ruling planet of Scorpio. So again, in case these signs mean something to you. With Mars, by the way, with the Tower card, there could be associations to Scorpio and Aries as well. But basically the Judgment card is advising you to accept the new reality of the situation. Judgment is basically, as I said, a card of rebirth and an awakening. So this is indicating that there is new information that needs to be integrated or that needs to be accepted for what it is, so that you could move on from what was and sort of step into a new way of being. And because we are getting two major Arcana cards, I almost feel like this new way of being is unavoidable. Like this is something that you cannot undo, or you cannot go back on whatever has happened. So basically all you can really do is, again, as I said, like make amends or make peace with what has happened and work your way forward. Now, I'm not saying, this Judgment card is not saying that if you, let's say, if the scenario of cheating applies to you, if you are the one who has been wronged in the relationship, it's not saying that you should just like get over your emotions and forget about everything that you have experienced and just forget the person and sort of move on. That's not the message here at all. It just is indicating that peace needs to be made within oneself first and foremost. That this acceptance of like really looking back on what has happened, what has occurred, facing the reality of the situation and facing the truth of the matter is what is the most crucial thing here. And so, whether you want to work through this situation and come out of this in a more strong relationship, or whether you want to work through your emotions and sort of part ways, that is obviously up to you. That is your choice. I'm just sort of, again, indicating saying what the cards are indicating and what the advice is here. So yeah, ultimately, I feel like acceptance is a big thing. And the last thing I want to say is also with Judgment, there is an element of needing to look into the future and sort of visualize what you want your life to ultimately be, what feels true in your core about where you ultimately see yourself in the future and what you want your future to look like. And so, that again, I feel like is going to help you to understand what sort of moves need to be made and what sort of decisions need to be made so that you could rebuild your life or your relationship, based on what you want the ultimate outcome to be. But yeah, with the Queen of Wands as the last card in the reading, this is a card of Aries, but it can indicate Leo or Leo or Sagittarius as well, because this is a fire sign card, the Queen of Wands. And even though this says Queen, again, you know, this is not a gender specific message by any means. This is just this is a card of like nurturing feminine energy. And because this is talking about the outcome of the relationship, or the way in which your relationship will be transformed if you attain this goal, you know, the Six of Pentacles goal, then it just feels like at the end of these processes, your relationship will come out as much more like passionate, much more loving and warm and, you know, just supportive and understanding, because that's the energy of the Queen of Wands. And so I feel like if you want the relationship to progress, and if you want the relationship to be rekindled or to be, you know, transformed into a new phase or into a new state, and you want to carry on with the relationship, then this is a clear indication that, you know, the relationship would come out at the end of this transformation as sort of much more caring and much more supportive and much more loving than before. But, you know, the Queen of Wands can also indicate, you know, if this is something that you want, right? The Queen of Wands can also indicate just sort of being a lot more in your power, being very self-confident, being very, you know, mindful of your worth, or just sort of keeping in mind your self-worth and your confidence and everything that you bring to the table. So in a way, this is a very empowering card as well for an individual to, you know, start feeling and acting in a more confident and, you know, in a more attractive way. So this is almost like falling in love with yourself again, that type of energy. So however you want to, you know, proceed with this relationship, which again, as I said, is up to you. I feel like the end result is definitely a positive one with this Queen of Wands, and very affirmative. And even though, again, as I said, even though I feel like the strongest message here with the Six of Pentacles is that, you know, you want things to be worked out and to sort of get to a place where you both sort of, as I said, make amends with each other, or where the air is cleared. It could be that, you know, some of you decide to go in a different way. And again, that is absolutely fine. That is up to you. But before we move on to the last portion of the reading, which is advice, I just quickly want to clarify the Six of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands, because I feel like everything else is fairly straightforward and makes a lot of sense with what we've been talking about. But I just want to get a clarifier for the Six of Pentacles to see, you know, whether what I am feeling is right, and whether this is something that the both of you want, or whether this is more so one person's wish. So the Six of Pentacles, could we please get a clarifier for the Six of Pentacles in the goal for the relationship? Okay. So we got the Five of Cups as the clarifier for the Six of Pentacles. If it would focus. Is it focusing? Sorry about that. I don't know. Sometimes the camera doesn't really want to work with me. But the interesting thing that I'm feeling with the Five of Cups here is that, you know, the Five of Cups is a card of regret, and it's a card of grief and pain, and sort of just looking back at past actions and what has been lost, and, you know, feeling very sad about it, or, you know, being hit with that realization of what has actually been lost. And so, because this is also a water sign card, this is actually a card of Scorpio as well, more specifically. But because it's talking about a water sign element, I am sort of being taken back to this moon card, you know, which is representing your partner. So in that sense, it could be that your partner is the one who is more keen on fixing things, or sort of, you know, bringing the relationship back to its former glory, so to say, or, you know, finding a way back to each other, basically. But the interesting thing is that at the bottom of the deck, as the underlying energy, we have the Four of Swords, and the Four of Swords is air energy. And more specifically, the Four of Swords is an energy of Libra, but because your energy is being represented by the Lovers card in reverse, which was, as I said, Gemini, this is also air energy. And so it's as I said, it is interesting that both of your energies are coming out in this reading, but yeah, because the Five of Cups flew out specifically, it could mean that, you know, your partner is the one who is more adamant about fixing the relationship, but that is ultimately what they really, really want. But I do feel like with the Four of Swords, that is something that, you know, you are wishing to have peace in the relationship, or for peace to be restored. But because the Four of Swords is much more sort of passive, it feels like you could be the one who is more so waiting for your partner to make the first move, or to sort of come to you and, you know, apologize and try and work through this whole situation. But, you know, again, I'm just sort of saying what I feel through these cards. But okay, the Queen of Wands. I also quickly want to look at the Queen of Wands too. Could you please clarify the Queen of Wands? Thank you. Oh, beautiful. We have the Empress energy. And the Empress is a card of Venus. So the Venusian energy can also be associated again with Libra or with Taurus as well. Sorry, the cards, I think they're just too small so that the camera doesn't really want to focus on them. But this is basically an energy of like this beautiful, loving, nurturing energy. Again, right, as I was saying, this feminine energy that the Queen of Wands is exuding. So ultimately, that is the outcome of your relationship. And again, whether you want to focus that energy on yourself, or whether you want to, you know, revitalizing or nurturing the relationship again, or finding that sort of love for each other again, that is up to you again. But just generally, the Empress is indicating that as a result of all of this period, or all of these things, these experiences that you were going through, I feel like the relationship could come out much more loving, again, much more warm, much more nurturing and caring, because that's the energy of Venus as a planet. It is a planet of relationships, of love, of beauty and comfort, and all of these really, really yummy good things. So this is a really beautiful indication of the sort of the relationship being taken to the next level, and in a very, very positive way. But again, I feel like with the Four of Cups being the underlying energy, this is saying that this is ultimately up to you, you know, that both of you have to want that to be the case. And it is an option in case you decide to use that option, you know. But yeah, I feel like that sort of clears the picture up quite well. So let's move swiftly on to the last part of the reading, which is advice for your relationship. So we are going to look at these Romance Angels Oracle cards to see what sort of advice Spirit has for you and your relationship. What sort of advice do you have for pile number 2 regarding that reading? Okay, we have chemistry. There's a strong magnetic attraction here. And yeah, I feel like, I mean, I have to say, especially with the Queen of Wands, you know, coming out as the outcome of your relationship, this is a very magnetic, a very attractive, and a very passionate energy. So yeah, I feel like, you know, Spirit is trying to indicate that even though you are going through this transformative and somewhat, you know, challenging or difficult time, the chemistry is still there. So clearly there is a lot of feeling here. At the bottom of the deck, we have love yourself first. Your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. So yeah, I just feel like this is a bit of a call to, you know, focus on these processes that you are going through inside and respect them, you know, honor them, because obviously, you know, it's all of these processes are happening for a reason, and they are not meant to be ignored. Oh my goodness, I just noticed that on the last card here with truth, we had honor, Empress, integrity, and you got the Empress card as the last clarifier. So I don't know, I feel like it's crazy that you are getting so many synchronicities with the cards. But anyway, let's keep moving. I want some more advice. Can we get a couple more cards of advice for pile number 2? Can we please get some more advice? Okay, so I guess that's it. We're getting to for you. And the other card says past life relationship. You have known each other before. So yeah, there is a very good chance that this relationship is karmic in nature, or that, you know, there is again, right, we have this Pleiades energy, which is significant. It is very significant energy in the sense that it's talking about like cosmic energies, and so this is the bigger sort of out of this world energetic bond. And so it could very well be that this is a connection that, you know, you have already experienced in past lives as well. So there is a heavy sort of karmic feel to this connection. And so that's why I feel like, even though, you know, you may be going through a very, very difficult emotional time, it could also be very difficult to walk away from this relationship, you know, altogether. Again, it's ultimately up to you, and I'm not saying what you should do, but I just feel with this past life relationship energy that it could be difficult. And at the bottom of the deck, we have pay attention to the red flags. The signs are cautioning you. So yeah, I mean, obviously, as we were talking about it before, there are clearly things that need to be addressed. And I feel like there is this urge by spirit to be honest about what it is that you are going through. Right? And not to like ignore the feelings that are cropping up, and not to ignore the doubts that you are going through or that you are experiencing, and just, you know, being very upfront and honest about it. That's what the Tower and Judgment cards can talk about as well, because the Tower is basically like earth-shattering information, or something that, you know, takes you by surprise, or big revelations, and those revelations can come from you as well, or from your partner. And so, you know, being very upfront and honest about things, it just may help to speed the process along and ultimately get both of you what you really want. So yeah, but I'm gonna leave it here, pile number 2. Thank you for watching. If this resonated, as always, I would love to hear from you. You can leave me a comment down in the comment section, or you can give me a thumbs up as well to let me know that this resonated for you. But other than that, if I don't see you in any of the other piles, please take care of yourselves, and I am wishing you and your relationship all the best. Please take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you very soon in my next one. Bye-bye. Hello, pile number 3, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Amenti Oracle as well as this Amazonite, and we are going to be looking at these Oracle cards in just a second. But first we are going to turn our focus on the tarot cards, and this is a major arcana only tarot deck. And I used this sort of system in my previous video and I loved it. So I'm going to be doing this again in this one. So we are going to look at your energy and your person's energy as well. So let's start with your energy first. Can you please describe pile number 3's energy at this time? Pile number 3's energy. Thank you. Okay, interesting. We have the Devil in reverse. and the partner's energy of pile number 3. Can you please describe pile number 3's partner's energy? Okay. Okay, interesting. We have the Sun, and the underlying energy is the Fool, which I'm just going to show you, but we are not really going to focus on it unless, you know, it comes out again in the reading afterwards. But let's also look at the energy of your relationship at this time, and that's what these oracle cards are for. So let's see. We have I Live in Truth, Unbound, Releasing Soul Patterns, Contracts, and Past Lives. We have Kali. Interesting snake symbology coming out here. We also have number 27, reducing down to 9. May sweet and soft things find you. Harmony, ease, inner child, softness. And I consume only my fair share. Okay, pile number 3. Wow. I don't even know where to begin, but I guess we're just going to begin from the top. So the first card that we have is the Devil in Reverse. This is speaking of your energy, as we already discussed. And this is a card of Capricorn. So I'm just going to point out the zodiacal signs in case they mean something to you. But the Devil in Reverse is very clearly an indication that you at this time are in a space where you are doing a lot of purging and cleansing. And I feel like you are letting go a lot of old ways of being, a lot of old habits, a lot of old patterns as well. Sort of, you know, getting rid of anything that has been keeping you stuck or that hasn't really been the best for your growth and for your development as a person, but also clearly it could have some sort of effect or have had some sort of effect on your relationship too. So this is just sort of making these changes to break yourself free from like this compulsive behavior or some sort of reactions or reflexes that have come to you very naturally, but that again has, you know, that they haven't really served your best interests or maybe your relationship's best interests either. And so, yeah, this feels like you are breaking free of stuff and going through a period of releasing yourself, setting yourself free, or, you know, breaking out of limitations and restrictions, and being more open-minded towards new possibilities, new opportunities. And it feels like it is quite a sort of a massive energy, or a very like overwhelming and consuming energy, because the majority of these cards are very clearly tying back to this Devil in Reverse energy. And so I can see that a lot of what you are going through personally is having a profound effect on the relationship too. And I feel like it is actually, you know, in a very good sense, you know, making some transformations and necessary changes in that regard too. But I find a very interesting contrast when we get to your partner's energy, because your partner's energy is being symbolized by the Sun card. The Sun is a card of the Sun in astrology, and the Sun is a ruler of the sign Leo. So, you know, your partner may have prominent Leo placements, or that sort of archetype might just be very prevalent in them at this time. But I find it interesting that we are getting these very, very different energies. They are strongly like contrasting energies, Because one is full of like joy and optimism and innocence and almost like naivete or ignorance, whereas the other is very much, you know, in a fighting spirit or trying to combat something, trying to overcome something that is, you know, bringing about a lot of resistance or that is difficult to come out of. And so I don't know whether this is because your partner is somewhat like blissfully ignorant of what it is that you are going through right now, or that they are just so consumed with their own life, their own goals, their own stuff, that, you know, they don't really pay too much attention to the relationship at this time or what is happening or what you are going through. Or it could be that, you know, in a whole different sort of end of the spectrum, the Sun card could represent that, you know, this is a very like soft and supportive and caring energy, you know, wanting to make it as easy as possible for you to go through this transition. So, you know, no matter how this energy resonates in your specific relationship, I just feel like the contrast between these energies is very, very strong. And I find it somewhat funny. So if we focus on like the better scenario where your partner is being very supportive at this time, it could be that the Sun card is indicating that they are trying to find ways of like bringing joy to the relationship, or trying to find the positives, trying to find the silver linings in situations and sort of share that positivism or this optimism with you as well. You know, trying to bring this like sense of playfulness to the relationship. Or if we, you know, go back to the maybe not so great scenario of where your partner is just so wrapped up in their own things that they are not really even aware of what it is that you are going through, then the Sun card just sort of refers more to a bit of an egoistic nature, honestly. And I know that it sounds a bit bad, and it's not saying that your partner is a bad person by any means, or that they are necessarily even a selfish person, but it just seems to indicate that, you know, if you resonate with that scenario more, then it just feels like, you know, there could be so many things happening within your partner's life. There could be a lot of like opportunities, or they could be really busy, or they could have a lot of demands from work, or, you know, they may be under a lot of pressure in that sense to like perform or constantly be on top of their game. So there could be a reason why they are so wrapped up in their own stuff that they are ignorant of what is happening with you. But either way, it feels like you are in very different places within your energies at this time. And it is clearly being reflected in the energy of the relationship too. As I said, the majority of the cards seem to be talking about the transformation that you are going through, mainly with this Kali energy, which is, you know, the center card of your reading. So, you know, this is all about breaking down old constructs, pretty much. Kali is a very transformative energy, and it demolishes old systems. But again, it is for, like, ultimately for the better of things, of your life, of yourself, and of the relationship, clearly as well. But it is a rather turbulent energy with this Kali energy. And I mean, we have all of this snake symbolism, as I was saying. We have that on this card too. I live in truth. So, you know, with this, all of this snake symbology, clearly there is a period of like you becoming completely transformed, or you shedding old skin and turning into a new version of yourself. That seems to be, you know, again, having a lot of influence on the relationship too. And so I feel like, I mean, especially with this card too, you know, this one speaks for itself very, very clearly, of, you know, breaking out of bonds and breaking out of limitations and restrictions, and you know, releasing soul patterns, contracts, past lives, that type of thing. So it feels like these changes are very, very profound. But I feel like they are also indicating that, you know, that because this is speaking about the relationship, I do feel like there could be some aspects within the relationship itself that you are not necessarily happy with, that you are not content with, but that you maybe haven't opened up about before. And so I feel like as you are going through this transformation, or as you are going through this period of like breaking free of the shackles that have previously held you in place, I feel like you are also breaking down this silence that I feel like has been a part of your relationship as well. And you are, you know, possibly becoming more vocal about what it is that you are not happy with and what you want ultimately out of your life and this relationship. Because, you know, with this I Live in Truth card, there is a heavy emphasis on speaking your truth, of sharing it actually and bringing it out into the light. You know, because I feel like even if, you know, there have been some issues that you have experienced for quite some time in the relationship, or they have been an issue or a problem for quite some time, maybe you just, you know, have avoided them or brushed them aside, or you haven't really wanted to shed light on them, you know, because of everything that it may potentially bring about. I almost get this scenario for some of you that, you know, it could be that these issues are something that either like your partner isn't even aware of. And so maybe you have like wanted to avoid talking about them to please your partner or something like that. Again, that's for some of you, you know, if this doesn't resonate for you, then it's fine. You don't have to do anything with these messages. But it feels like, you know, there is this element of holding yourself back for the sake of your partner, or, you know, I don't know, but it's these two cards that are really like throwing me in this reading, because as I said, I feel like these three are very clearly talking about what you are going through and how it is affecting the relationship as well. But then we have these cards here, and these very much are making me feel, especially, you know, with this harmony card, this is making me feel that this is tied to your partner's energy more so, you know, because they seem to be in a space of like bliss and harmony themselves, like, you know, like everything is fine, nothing is going on, you know, everything is great. What are you talking about? You know, that seems to be their energy. For some reason, that's what I'm feeling at least. And so I feel like with this, I consume only my fair share. This is almost this feeling of like keeping the peace, or like saying only the bare minimum in order not to rock the boat or something. Yeah, I don't know. As I said, it feels really, really like strange, this energy, and almost like somewhat disjointed as well, just because there is such a high contrast in the energy that you are in and in the energy that your partner is in. So either this is like the result of, you know, intentionally not wanting to like discuss certain things that have been holding this relationship back, or that have been causing issues in the relationship, or that you have had to you know, keep within yourself, or whether this is trying to like maintain the balance in the relationship, or the harmony in the relationship as best as you possibly can, as you are going through these personal transformations that are, you know, clearly having a big impact on you as a person or as an individual. I just quickly want to point out one thing that I noticed on this card, which is really, really interesting. So we have these two women, and obviously, like, don't pay attention to the genders here, but we have one that is like, it looks like a crescent moon, but because of the way that the the crescent moon is placed on her head, it looks like horns, right? And so that makes me feel like, you know, that makes me think of the devil energy again. And then this other one is just like has like a normal head or normal hairdo, whatever. But I find it interesting how, you know, the devil person here is like they are turning their energy down, like towards themselves. Like they are not, you know, they are not sharing their energy or not making it known. Whereas the other person, and funnily enough, the other person is yellow, you know, again, the way that your person's energy is coming out with the sun. The sun is a very yellow card. And so it makes me feel like, you know, this is your partner and this is your energy. And you have been putting your energy sort of almost like suppressing it or trying to push it down. And the other person is like shining their energy fully into the third eye of this other person, you know? And so, yeah, it almost feels like this holding yourself back, for the sake of like not, you know, not wanting to take up space or not wanting to disturb the peace or something like that. But it's just so weird, you know, how basically only one person's energy is in the focus here or inside this triangle, and that is the only one that is being acknowledged, whereas the other one is just, you know, it's like being dismissed or it's not being looked at. And so yeah, it's really interesting how it seems to be that you are sort of in the shadows, or you have been in the shadows within this relationship dynamic, and your person is almost the one who is like shining or taking center stage. And so I feel like as a result of your sort of inner transformation that you are now going through, you are becoming much more vocal about what is truly happening with you and what you truly need and how you want things to change. But yeah, I don't know. As I said, weird dynamic, not in a bad or judgmental way or anything, but it just feels like, you know, there is a stark difference here. But that's it. I'm going to move on to the tarot portion now. So let's get the cards ready for the layout. Okay, pile number 3. Wow, let's jump into these cards. So I first want to start off with the underlying energy, and we have the 3 of Wands. Now, the 3 of Wands is a card of Aries, actually, but it's just a fire element card. And so it talks about, you know, looking ahead into the future and looking ahead at your goal and trying your best to, you know, reach that goal, or doing everything that you can to work towards that goal. And usually it also involves, you know, breaking out of some sort of a safe or established construct and reaching out to bigger or broader horizons. And it's like, it's one of those things where, you know, in order to reach the desired goal that you have, you need to sort of keep a firm view of that goal. Keep that at the forefront of your mind as you are taking action, as you are making decisions. And so that, you know, every step that you make would somehow take you closer to that desired result. So basically this is about, you know, keeping that focus in mind and working diligently towards that goal. But it's interesting looking at these cards how, you know, the goal seems to be tied to you like having more, authority or gaining a stronger foothold in the relationship. And I'm going to talk about that more clearly in a second, but just starting with the first card here, we have the Emperor. The Emperor is the only major Arcana card that you got in this spread. And this is, again, a card of Aries. So a lot of Aries energy, honestly. And so, yeah, that may be a significant sign for you too. But basically, the Emperor energy is making me think that, you know, this is the underlying cause for the current situation in your relationship. All of these oracle cards that we were talking about. And so I feel like your relationship has been in a very like rigid and very stuck place where, you know, things have just been very much set in stone, and that, you know, there hasn't possibly been too much movement or too much progress being made. And I feel like that is ultimately what you are after here, which is like progress or taking things further along. But I just feel like there have been so many like rigid structures or habits in place. And so, you know, it almost feels like there hasn't really been space or the opportunity or possibility for things to develop because they are just so sort of well established the way that they are. And also with the Emperor, it's clear to me that, you know, there has been a very dominant figure in your relationship or someone who has almost like run the show. And again, I'm saying it because that's the strongest energy that I'm feeling. But again, if this doesn't apply to your circumstances, then you can just brush that message aside. But because of the Leo energy being very strong here, and sort of very heavily contrasting the other energy that, you know, the devil in reverse energy, which is yours, it does seem like your partner may have been sort of in control of the relationship or the one like calling the shots or being very much in that driver's seat position, and you sort of having to adapt, or you maybe even not having to, but maybe it's just something that you have willingly been doing. Like, again, suppressing your own desires, right? Suppressing what you feel, what you need, what you think, what you desire, in order to keep the other person happy or something like that. But anyway, it just seems like, you know, the very strong masculine energy, very much in control of everything, that seems to be stemming from your partner's energy. That's at least what I feel. And so because of this rigidity, it seems like the goal that you have for this relationship is the King of Wands. Now, this goal, it can talk about the goal, a goal that you have, a goal that your partner has, or a goal that you both share. But in this instance, I feel like this is very much your personal goal, something that you want to establish in this relationship. And because of the King of Wands energy, which by the way is again Leo energy, but I feel like this is saying that you just want to establish yourself more as you know, someone who has some ground or someone who has some authority as well. Like, the King of Wands is also a card of having vision and of moving steadily towards that vision. And so I feel like you seem to be in a space where you are wanting to break out of this like status quo energy and bring about some changes or shifts in order to get closer to this ultimate vision that you have. And so, you know, again, I'm just going to give you an example, which is just an example. So, you know, take it as such. But let's say that you have always dreamed of, you know, becoming engaged or moving to a different city or a different country even. And maybe your partner has made it very clear that they are happy where they are, and, you know, that they are, that they don't want to get engaged or they don't want to get married. That is not something that they believe in. And so because that information has been established early on, you have sort of kept your mouth shut because of it, because you've been afraid of, again, like rocking the boat or, getting an unpleasant reaction from your partner because they, obviously said early on that that's not something that they want. And so you have just been like pushing that desire down. But on the inside, like on some level, it has always been there, it hasn't gone anywhere. And so I just feel like it feels like now it's something that is like raising its head more and more and more. And it's almost impossible to avoid speaking about it anymore. And so that's why you feel like, okay, I really want this vision to come to life, or I really want to, do something about this vision. Again, this is just an example, but hopefully it gives you some sort of indication of the energy that I'm picking up on here. So regardless of like what your vision is for the relationship or for your future, it just feels like your goal is to gain more courage and more boldly like establish that vision and have your voice be heard or acknowledged, and really like make some headway in the relationship. That's what I ultimately feel like. I feel like you want to take things to a more serious or to the next level, but yeah, there just may be some fears attached to vocalizing those things. And so the obstacle or challenge in establishing or attaining this goal is the Two of Wands. Again, another fire element card. There is a lot of fire element here in general. So that speaks of, passions and feelings having a lot of power at this time, or being very, very prevalent at this time. And with the Two of Wands, the clearest obstacle here is stepping out of a comfort zone, because again, there is this element of safety, of something being very well established, something being very secure. And, if you are starting to change that, or if you're looking out of that comfortable space into new horizons, that always brings about an element of risk, And so I feel like the biggest obstacle here, especially because I feel like this is your goal, is to overcome the sense of fear or apprehension about how your partner may react, or what it may bring about in the relationship, how it may change the current dynamic in the relationship, and just, how your lives will look even if you go down that path and you start pursuing that goal, whether that would ultimately bring you the result that you truly want. So there are a lot of these like big questions, and there are a lot of these unknown feelings and thoughts that I feel like you are dealing with on the inside. But that is ultimately the goal. The obstacle in achieving the goal. And now moving on to the advice on how to tackle this Two of Wands energy, we have the Queen of Pentacles. And the Queen of Pentacles is, funnily enough, a Capricorn card again. So, it's interesting that we are getting so many clear indications back and forth from the energy of the oracle cards, and then from these tarot cards, and from your own tarot cards. So it all seems to be like connecting in this beautiful little net or mesh of energies. But the Queen of Pentacles, as I said, it's a Capricorn card. So there is an element of being determined, of being driven, of being ambitious, and of like really putting your head down and doing the work, being adamant about what it is that you want, and realizing that things make time, that things take time, and sort of making peace with that, that this is not going to be a hasty or fast process, and that, there needs to be steady efforts made in order to sort of grow or nurture the situation and nurture the relationship as well to the level that you want it to become. But ultimately, again, I feel like because the Queen of Pentacles energy is coming out as advice, I also feel like this is saying that, be gentle with yourself as well as you're going through this process, because clearly this is a lot of change to go through, and it's normal to feel somewhat like uprooted or somewhat challenged in this space where you're trying to change so drastically, I feel like. But I also feel like because the Queen of Pentacles takes care of their own needs, they respect what it is that they want, they respect what it is that they desire, and they take very good care of themselves because they value themselves, right? I feel like the message here is also to, respect what it is that you want, and not shy away from these feelings or these things that are cropping up. And again, it feels like it's feeding into this energy of standing up for your vision, which is ultimately the goal that you seem to have. Because, and the other thing that I find that is interesting is, as you are in this like Capricornian energy, this Queen of Pentacles energy, it's interesting that we have this dynamic of you being in this more passive and receptive state, which is very, very much a feminine energy, or what feminine energy is about. Whereas, your partner, who is in this very strong Leo energy or the sun energy, that's very masculine in nature. And so, it's kind of funny that you are wanting, or that the cards at least are indicating that the desire is there to transition from this more like passive and receptive energy of the feminine to the more masculine and in control energy of the King of Wands. Right? So this like shifting of energies and becoming much more empowered in a sense. But anyway, moving on to the last card, we have another number 3 card with the 3 of Cups. And this card is indicating the sort of outcome energy, or the way that your relationship will be transformed as you go through this transition, or as you attain this goal of the King of Wands. And so the 3 of Cups is making me feel that, at the end of it, if you truly like stand up for yourself and speak what is on your mind and all of that, it feels like the outcome is going to be a very positive one, where you may be surprised by the reaction that you get. Because, I feel like with all of these cards, there is a lot of like fear around how your partner may react, or how the relationship may be affected as a result of this. But this is a very positive card of like celebration and coming together and feeling supported and joyful. And so, as I said, you may be surprised by the positive reaction that your partner actually gives you when you vocalize what it is that you want from the relationship, or how what your vision is for the relationship. And even if it's just, in you sort of becoming more of an equal partner in the relationship, and stepping out of this more like passive energy of the feminine, then again, it could be that, your partner is more than okay with that idea, or very supportive of the idea. So it just in any case feels like ultimately the relationship is going to become a lot more supportive and a lot more emotionally like nourishing, where all of your needs are going to be met. So not just the needs of your partner, but where you will feel a lot more nourished and fulfilled as well. Being a part of the group, belonging, rather than being in like a supportive role yourself. And so I just want to also mention, because we have 2 number 3 cards here, that, number 3s numerologically are all about growth and development and progression, or progress. And so this is a very, very positive indication that the relationship is growing, it is developing, and it is going to be, bringing in abundance, or this beautiful harmonious state that you seem to be after. But let me see. I actually don't feel like I want to clarify anything, because it feels very, very clear to me. So I'm just going to move straight to the advice portion. One more thing I want to mention, because my eyes keep getting drawn back to these 3 of Cups, this 3 of Cups card. I feel like, another thing that may surprise you is that after all of this transformational energy within your relationship, and after, possibly sharing your vision, it may be surprising to you how it may turn out that your partner secretly wants the same thing too, or that, that would be something that would make them happy as well. So, you know, another example, let's say that you actually want a child, or, you know, that's something that you are dreaming of, like starting a family, and maybe that hasn't been something that you have addressed before. Maybe that's even been something that, you know, previously you said that you didn't want, or both of you agreed that you didn't want, or, you know, whatever. But it feels like maybe as time has passed, maybe you have changed your mind, and maybe your partner has changed your mind too, but it just hasn't been discussed openly, right? And so, yeah, with this Three of Cups, I just felt like I wanted to point that out as well. But let's look at the advice from Spirit for your relationship, or for this reading. So let's see, what sort of advice do you have for pile number 3 regarding their reading? What sort of advice do you have for pile number 3 regarding their reading? Oh. Okay, we have give your relationship a chance. Work on your partnership. Yeah, exactly. See, I feel like that is what is happening, and that is what you are ultimately doing. But obviously this is just encouragement for you to keep going, because absolutely looking at all of these cards, I can empathize and feel that this is not easy to do by any means. And this is requiring a lot of self-discipline, a lot of strength, a lot of courage. But yeah, ultimately I feel like this is worth it. At least that's what the card is saying. Okay, at the bottom of the deck, I mean, it doesn't feel like it's applying here really, but it says unrequited love. There's not enough attraction or chemistry to keep this relationship going. I mean, clearly that's not what I feel in this instance. Well, it doesn't feel like a literal message like that. It just feels like, again, this like imbalance of energies where, you know, this seems to be, you know, just kind of taking us back to the whole beginning of the reading, where we're talking about, you know, your needs being suppressed, or somehow, you know, not being vocalized. And so that's more so what I feel with this card rather than anything else. So yeah, let's see what else we can get. What other advice do you have for pile number 3? Oh, another thing, sorry, that just popped into my hand as I was shuffling, about the last card, the unrequited love. I actually feel like it's talking about the way that the relationship has been and how that is not sustainable. So it's not that the relationship itself is not working, but it's just that the form of the relationship that it has been in, right, that is now being transformed, like that is something that isn't really working, and that's why all of these changes are happening as well, and that's why all of this breaking out of limitations is what you are doing as well. So yeah, just wanted to point that out. But let's keep going. What other advice do you have for pile number 3 and their reading? Oh, interesting. Okay. Interesting, because you know the last advice, oh sorry, not even advice, but the last example that I was giving with this 3 of Cups about wanting children. I don't know, it's just funny that's the one that came out, because we have children. Your love life is being affected by children. So, you know, this could indicate that, you know, maybe children is something that is actually in the picture already. Maybe your partner has children with their previous partner, or maybe you have children from a previous relationship, or, you know, maybe someone else's children are affecting your relationship too. But it just seems like the topic of children is clearly something that is very significant in this reading and in this relationship. And so I don't know. Oh yeah, we even had inner child on this card here. But anyway, I don't know. Take that as it resonates, because there are so many different ways that this can play out. But I just find it funny that that's the example that came to me with this 3 of Cups as the last thing. And obviously that is important. But at the bottom of the deck, we have playfulness. To recapture romance, allow your inner youthful spirit of fun to shine. And so, yeah, I do feel like, you know, the energy that your partner is exhibiting with the Sun card, and even with this like Harmony card, I feel like these are very, you know, important energies to not forget about, because I do feel like, you know, there is some fun or some lightheartedness that is needed, especially at this time as you are going through all of these like transformations and these bigger changes. So yeah, this energy could really help you to sort of work through this liberation energy that you are experiencing. And it may also like actually make it easier for, you know, for the both of you as well, or make it more fun again, make you sort of come closer together, or bring you closer as a couple as well, and sort of just, you know, really making efforts to bring again the playfulness and the lightheartedness back into the relationship, and break out of that seriousness every once in a while. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it here, pile number 3. I hope that this reading was useful to you. I hope that it resonated. If you got some useful messages from this reading, please do let me know in the comment section, or you can just, you know, give me a thumbs up too, however you prefer. But if I don't see you in any of the other piles, please take care of yourselves, and I wish you and your relationship all the best. Take care. Bye-bye. Hello, pile number 4, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Rose Quartz stone as well as the Work Your Light Oracle deck, but we are going to get into these Oracle cards, which are pre-prepared, in just a second, because first we are going to look at the Major Arcana tarot cards to see what is your energy like and what is your person's or your romantic partner's energy like. And because I did this system in my previous reading as well, I really liked it, and I feel like it worked so well, so I wanted to do that here too. But yeah, let's see, what sort of energy are you embodying right now? So please describe pile number 4's energy. Oh, okay, beautiful. We have the World, and I mean the Leo energy, strength, came out too, but so I'm just going to keep that in mind. But that is the card that was at the top, so we're keeping that. And what is the energy of your person? So please describe pile number 4's partner's energy. Okay, and we have the Lovers. Beautiful. Okay, and at the bottom of the deck, we still have the Strength card. And so, you know, that energy may be significant. We'll see if it comes out again in the tarot portion later on in the reading. But as I said, we'll just keep that in mind for now. But yeah, let us dive into these Oracle cards now and see what is the energy of the relationship. Star Mother, how can you mother yourself? We have Ganesha. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, but it came out in reverse. We also have I Am Kind. We have number 18 reducing down to 9. Don't worry, darling, you'll find your way. The Red Rose, overcoming obstacles, finding joy, carefree. And we also have the Crumbling. What are you clinging onto? Okay, pile number 4. Let's get right into it. So let's start with your energy first. And your energy is being symbolized by the World card, which is the last card in the major arcana. And this is actually a card of Saturn. So Saturn rules Aquarius and Capricorn, and in case those two signs mean something to you, I am just pointing them out so you can apply to them, or you can apply them to yourself if needed. But the World energy is an energy of big completions. It's an energy of sort of getting to the end point or culmination of something, and really like tying up loose ends, or just sort of saying goodbye to, you know, a chapter or a project or a way of being or living that has, you know, that has been finished, that has served its purpose, and that, you know, it's now time to move on to a new chapter, a new way of being. It's time to step back into the energy of the Fool and start a whole new journey. But I mean, with the World card here, it feels like this is something quite major. You know, this is something that you have either worked towards or wanted to attain, wanted to achieve for quite a long time. And so these endings or these major culminations that you are experiencing, there could be more than one, and you could be experiencing them in areas of life such as your career, or maybe even, you know, your relationships with your family, with your parents, with even the way that you used to live, or the place that you used to live in. Maybe this is even like a bigger spiritual journey that you are sort of getting to an end to, or maybe this is you, like, you know, finally releasing something old from the past, or finally tying up loose ends with like a previous relationship, or, you know, if something like that. Really, I'm just giving you examples on how this could resonate, but take it as you will. It just seems like at this time you are very much focused on tying up loose ends. As I said, that's the phrase that sort of keeps popping into my head, and sort of trying to make sense of all of these experiences that you have gone through, and really just sort of taking it all in, taking in where you are now and the whole journey as it has been. And there is a lot of this, like, this sifting through energy that I feel as well, even though the World is a card of success, and it is a very positive card because it indicates, you know, that you have come a long way and you have reached the final destination or the end goal that was, you know, always at the forefront of things. But in a way, I also feel like there is a certain like heaviness attached to it too, or a certain seriousness because of, you know, this whole reflective aspect as well of what it all means and what it has all brought about for you. So you are in this very like big, somewhat heavy energy as well, which ultimately is positive, but I feel like it's rather serious still. And then your partner is coming out as the Lovers card, which is a card of Gemini. And this is much more lighthearted. This is much more sort of carefree, much more frivolous, much more just sort of in the moment also. So this is making me feel that, you know, it could be that your partner is just trying to be very supportive of you at this time, or trying to, you know, be there and show their affection and show their love. Maybe they are also like just super proud of you for whatever it is that you have gone through, or whatever it is that you have achieved or accomplished. So it just seems like they are in a very loving space and a loving, supportive space. But also it feels like, you know, like it is a bit of like a romantic or idealistic place too, for some reason, that I'm feeling with this Lovers energy. So maybe they are so much, you know, in their own feelings and in their own little romantic bubble, of just like, you know, wanting the relationship to flourish and that type of thing, that they may not even necessarily see what you are experiencing yourself. Because on the outside, I feel like on the outside you look very, like, very accomplished, very powerful, very like a superhuman, or there is some sort of reverence that I feel that is here, where it's like, you know, it's almost like they are looking up to you. And it's funny how these cards are designed as well, because that's the sort of feeling that I'm getting here a bit, that they are in awe of you, or they are looking up to you in some way. They have a lot of respect towards you. And, you know, so it's, yeah, it almost feels like they may be so like caught up in their feelings that they may not necessarily be aware of what everything in the world energy entails for you and what you are actually going through as well. And I also feel like they are not necessarily realizing what you're going through because of all of these cards here that are describing your relationship. And it's, I don't know. I mean, especially with the Star Mother card here, I get the sense that like you may be trying to like self-soothe or work through your own issues, not really wanting to, you know, be a burden on your partner, not really wanting to cause any unnecessary issues or disrupt anything. And so this Star Mother feels like you are trying to, like, obviously you are there for this other person, and you are showing your support and you are showing your affection. I also feel that with this energy, actually, with I am kind, I feel like you are very much like showing up for your partner and showing up for the relationship and doing your part, doing the best that you can to give everything that you have in order to, you know, make the other person feel, or make your person feel, you know, valued and loved and all of that. But I also feel like there is an element of you yearning for that support as well, but not really maybe sharing it or not really showing it to your partner. And so, you know, there could be an element of you trying to soothe yourself, as I said, or trying to be your own rock as well. Not really wanting to show any weakness to your partner. Again, I don't know why I feel that way. And if that doesn't necessarily resonate for you, then just leave that message. But yeah, for some reason, I feel like you are trying to do it all by yourself. And that's the thing here. I don't know why, but I feel like there is some sort of difficulty that this relationship is bringing you for some reason. I don't necessarily feel like it is something that your person feels about the relationship. I do feel like it's something that you feel, though, because we have all of these three cards here. And I want to start with the Ganesha card in reverse, because like when this card comes out upright, it speaks about Ganesha being the one to remove obstacles and make things more easy again, more flowing and that type of thing. But when it comes out in reverse, it is indicating that, you know, there are specifically some obstacles placed on your path in order to like redirect you to something that would ultimately make you feel more fulfilled, or that would lead you to where you actually want to go. And so I feel like there are some sort of roadblocks that you may be experiencing, especially because this card actually says as well, overcoming obstacles and finding joy and carefree. And so, you know, clearly there are some difficulties that you are experiencing, or, you know, that this relationship is experiencing. And you are trying your best to find a way through or around these obstacles, these challenges. But it seems like whatever this is that you are trying to overcome is something that may in fact need to be like abandoned altogether, or there may be a better way of doing something in the relationship or for the relationship, because we have the crumbling card, right? And it's clearly indicating that, you know, whatever sort of thing doesn't work anymore, that there is something that is being broken down, but that you are trying so hard to hold it together and being really not really being willing to let that go. Now, okay, I'm just going to turn the scenario completely on its head now, because I just got this other scenario in my head. So, you know, it could be that for some of you, the World card is indicating that you are or have reached a point for yourself where you feel like, you know, you want something to change, or you want to, you know, possibly even like radically alter the course of this relationship. And maybe your person doesn't want to do that. And so it could be them who is very much clinging on to this old construct that is not really viable anymore, because you have reached this point within yourself where you feel like, you know, that part of the relationship is done and it's over with and it's time to move on. So it could be that that sort of heaviness is coming from them trying to hold on and trying to make the relationship work, versus you trying to, you know, find your way through how the relationship is changing, and sort of trying to do what is best for everyone involved ultimately, and trying to be as kind as possible while you are doing it. So you know, these are very, very contrasting scenarios, and obviously only you know whether you resonate with either of those. But yeah, I just get the sense that there is some sort of, you know, heaviness around the relationship, or this like feeling very much bogged down by the obstacles or by the challenges, not really feeling that supported in dealing with these challenges, and sort of trying to make everything work. But I feel like maybe there are some things that are not necessarily working anymore in the relationship, at least in the way that they have worked previously, you know, that the old way of doing things is not viable anymore. So yeah, that's the energy that I'm feeling from these oracle cards and from these tarot cards. But let's look at some more details with the tarot cards and get a better understanding of what is ultimately going on with this relationship. Okay, pile number 4. Now, I don't know how well you will be able to see it, but actually the sun is like reflecting directly on these cards. So yeah, the sun just came out like very suddenly. And anyway, it's interesting because I have to be honest, I was really perplexed by your cards. The most out of all of the readings so far. And so I really had to sit with these cards for a bit, make sense of them and all of these energies that are coming out. But yeah, let's just get into it. So I actually want to start off with the King of Pentacles card, which is the underlying energy. And this is a card of Taurus, but it can really talk about any earth sign. So Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn. I feel like this is speaking about your relationship and the way that it has been, because the King of Pentacles symbolizes an energy that has been a certain way for a very long time. Like there's a certain routine to this relationship and to the roles that both of you have in the relationship, and it's just been that way for a long time, and things have been done the same way for a very long time. You know, it's always like it's the same thing day in and day out. So that's why I feel like there is a bit of an element of like routine here. And I feel like for one of you, most likely your partner, that could be like a very okay thing, or they could be very okay with the way that things are, and they may want things to be the same way. But for you, with this World card energy, it feels like you are ready to transform something, or you are ready to, as I said, like tie up loose ends and do something to bring an old chapter or an old way of doing to a close and step into a new chapter. Because the King of Pentacles also talks about long-term foundations and long-term stability, you know? And so that's why I'm kind of getting the sense that that may be a very important thing that you are considering, that's what these cards are really talking about. You thinking about the long-term future and sort of seeing what you ultimately want that future to look like. But let's get through these cards one by one. So we first have the Fool card that came out in reverse. The Fool is a card of Aries, but it can also be a card of, the Fool is a card of Uranus, the planet Uranus, which is tied to Aquarius, the sign Aquarius, but it can also be, you know, tied to the sign Aries because it's the first card in the major arcana. But this card is symbolizing the underlying cause for the current energy of your relationship. And now I'm getting like two distinct messages from the Fool card. The first one is that, you know, that there has been an energy of like being very carefree, not really thinking about consequences to your actions, or not really thinking about long-term consequences in general, and just sort of, you know, having a very, almost like a naive or that sort of energy when it comes to your relationship or your partnership. And so that could be the reason why, you know, these topics are at the forefront now. So that's one of these messages that I'm feeling with the Fool card, that someone has acted in haste or just jumped into certain actions or words or something like that without thinking too much about them. And then as a result, you know, there are some more serious issues that need to be dealt with. But this can also talk about just having a certain fear of, again, letting go of what is familiar and being thrown into the unknown terrain. So, you know, there could be some apprehension about what the future would look like if you were to leave the comfort of this well-established routine that is in place in the relationship. So yeah, as I said, I feel the Fool card in two different ways. But looking at the next card here, we have the Knight of Swords, which is interesting because the Knight of Swords is a card of Gemini, just like the Lover's card is, which is making me feel that this card is very clearly connected to your person's energy. And the Knight of Swords in this position is speaking of a goal that you have for the relationship. Either you have, your person has, or whether, you know, this is a shared goal that both of you have. But because this is so strongly in that Gemini energy, it makes me feel that this is something that your partner is after. And the Knight of Swords is an energy of like clear communication and a very determined action towards like this tunnel vision. So that makes me feel that, you know, again, thinking back to this like crumbling energy or this obstacles being placed on the path energy, it could be that, you know, it's mainly your person who is advocating for, you know, things staying the same or continuing down the same path as you have. Yeah, just sort of being very, very stuck in their views in that sense, or just, you know, having a very clear idea about that, you know. As I said with the Lover's card, they could have very distinct feelings, and I feel like they are not afraid to share them with you. But I'm going to clarify the Knight of Swords afterwards as well, because I definitely want to get more information about, you know, what this goal is specifically, if we can, you know, get some more information about it. But the Five of Pentacles is coming out next, and this is a card that is standing for the obstacle or challenge that is on the path to achieving this Knight of Swords goal. And this is telling me that, you know, the main challenge here is the sort of the lack of support, or the lack of like being on the same page. I feel like there is huge lack that is in this relationship, and that could stem from, you know, you wanting different things than them, or you not feeling supported and nurtured in the relationship, or maybe, you know, it just seems that there is currently this energy of not having your needs met or not being heard in the relationship, and that is like the biggest challenge here. But I also feel like there's an element of not really wanting to accept the reality of the situation, and not really wanting to face the reality of the relationship, you know, almost like pretend that everything is fine, you know. I kind of get that energy here, you know, especially with this card too, you know, that there is this sense of like wanting to cling on to a dream, or wanting to cling on to some sort of illusion that maybe isn't really relevant anymore. Yeah, and I don't know why, but I am getting a stronger and stronger feeling that all of this energy is talking about your partner, and them sort of being in this bubble, or in this space where they are almost like cut off from reality. Yeah, something like that. But let's keep going. We have the Queen of Pentacles coming out next. And this is a card of Capricorn, or just any earth sign. So this can also talk about Taurus or Virgo as well. But this card is indicating the advice on how to overcome this Five of Pentacles challenge. And what the Queen of Pentacles is telling me, that there needs to be a willingness to radically look at what is actually happening, because we are dealing with the Pentacle suit here. And Pentacles are earth energy, meaning that this is real, this is physical, this is material, this is things that we can see and feel and smell and touch. And so this is very much acknowledging the current situation of things, and, you know, really putting into place certain priorities, focusing on the priorities, focusing on what is most important and what is the ultimate desire, and whether, you know, whether those desires line up, or whether those desires are not really in sync, you know. But I feel like with the Queen of Pentacles, there is a clear indication that, you know, there is a certain acknowledgement that needs to be made, and there is a certain amount of like attention and care that needs to be given to either the relationship, or, you know, to either one of you. Because the interesting thing here is that we have these counterparts coming out. So, you know, the King of Pentacles was talking about the underlying energy, which is like the overruling energy in place, and then the advice card is the Queen of Pentacles. And the Queen of Pentacles is, you know, I'm not talking about gender in these cards either. This is just this feminine and more soft and more allowing and caring energy. And so I feel like that's what, you know, this relationship needs more of. Again, we had this star mother energy too, you know, this very caring and supportive and loving energy that I feel like is like missing in this instance for some reason, or there isn't like enough of it. And so more like care and nourishment and attention needs to be given in this relationship to what actually matters and what is important. And I feel like also this is talking about the courage to deal with what needs to be dealt with, because Capricorn energy is, again, you know, taking me back to this Saturnian energy with the World card, which is your energy, because Saturn rules Capricorn. So there is a clear connection between these two cards here too. And so there is a need to be, you know, very courageous in, you know, tackling these issues and dealing with what needs to be dealt with, and again addressing what needs to be addressed, because Capricorn is very determined and very ambitious and very boldly going after what it is that they want. And so, you know, that's that type of energy that I feel is being highlighted here too. And it's interesting that like we are getting two of like pretty much the same energy, because the Knight of Swords is also very determined, just like the Queen of Pentacles is. But one of them is going about it in a much more like subtle and quiet and composed manner. And the other one is being like almost like very loud and very in your face with it, you know. But ultimately I feel like they want the same thing. Like both of them are very powerful energies, but I just feel like there is more of this softness that is required here. Because at this time I feel like the sort of the masculine energy of just like trying to do something, trying to take action, wanting to control the situation some way, right? Wanting to hold on to what is, and through that like affect the reality of the relationship. I feel like that really isn't bringing the results that you actually want. We also have one last card here with the Hermit, which came out in reverse, and this is a card of Virgo. And this card is symbolizing the outcome of the relationship, or how your relationship will be transformed when you attain this goal or go through this transformation of the goal, or reaching this Knight of Swords energy. And I feel like, you know, this is an energy of like opening up, or being a lot more forthcoming, or a lot more open to like sharing again, and sort of coming out of a bit of a cocoon, or a bit of a like this shutdown energy that, you know, can very much be the case with the Hermit upright. Because this is a card of like isolation and self-reflection, and detaching yourself from other people, and you know, that also means your relationship possibly. But with the Hermit coming out in reverse, I feel like this is a thawing that is happening, where, you know, there is much more access available to someone in the relationship. And for some reason I do feel like it is again making me feel that you may be in this space where you are not as accessible to your partner, and that may be the thing that is like freaking them out, where they are trying to like desperately communicate with you, and desperately get in contact with you, and make you see them and hear them and what it is that they want, right? So this is almost this like bulldozer energy that I feel that they have again, but it's coming from a place of like desperation almost, because I do feel like you are somewhat unreachable to them in some way at this time. With this world energy, as I said, there seems to be this like reverence that is happening, or them looking up to you in some way. So that indicates that there is an energy of them feeling less than, or feeling less than you, putting you on some sort of pedestal, or in some sort of authority position. And so I feel like they could feel somewhat, again, like distant from you, or unable to reach you. And because I feel like there is a lot of emotion here too, but clearly there is some sort of obstacles or some sort of barriers that are in place in the relationship, it's like they are almost becoming, yeah, desperate, I feel like. But the thing is also that I don't feel like you are doing this separation or distancing yourself on purpose either. I mean, maybe some of you are, but I honestly feel like it's more so just a sort of a natural byproduct of this world energy, because of all of these huge changes and sort of inner culminations that you are going through, and possibly like external culminations too. And so, yeah, it could be that you are unintentionally becoming more like closed off, or again, trying to deal with everything on the inside and not show it to the other person. Because again, with this card, I feel like you are trying your best to, as I said, be there for them and be a part of this relationship, and show kindness to them. But I feel like instinctively they know that something is going on, or they know that something is wrong. But I just feel like it's, you know, it's not something that is openly being dealt with, right? Because I feel like things are just sort of progressing as they always have. And yeah, so anyway, that's what I feel like. So ultimately, I feel like the end result is that you can come out of this place, or that, you know, there will be a thawing or a melting energy happening here with the Hermit reversed. But I do feel like it is a bit of a journey, and, you know, things need to sort of be accepted and dealt with first. But I do want to clarify a couple of cards. As I said, I definitely want to look at the Knight of Swords, but I also want to look at the Fool in reverse. So can you please clarify the Fool in reverse as the underlying cause for the current situation in the relationship? Thank you. Oh, interesting. We have the Page of Pentacles as the underlying. Oh, and the Knight of Cups. So there are so many energies coming through, like court card energies coming through. So clearly, you know, there could be like more than two people involved in the situation. Maybe there is someone else around you. I don't mean to indicate that this is like a cheating scenario or something like that, like a third party situation, not that. But I just feel like there could be someone outside of the relationship who is also having a very big effect on this relationship or this connection. Because we have the Knight of Cups coming out as a clarifier for the Fool in reverse. The Knight of Cups is a Piscean energy, if it would focus. It doesn't really seem to want to for some reason. But, okay, anyway. So the Knight of Cups coming out as a clarifier for the Fool, I do feel like it is just further sort of bringing up the energy of being like super idealistic and maybe not really too grounded in reality. And so there's almost this like romantic or hazy energy that I feel. And funnily enough, I'm kind of getting the sense that even though I feel very strongly that this is tying back to your person's energy, that, you know, they have almost like a skewed perception of what is going on in their own mind. But I also feel like there is a part of it that like resonates with your energy too, where I feel like, again, it seems like an unintentional thing, but I feel like you may be trying to like fix the situation somehow or work on a solution with this Page of Pentacles as the underlying energy. Like trying to figure out a solution, but and almost feeling like, you know, that you are doing a good thing, or that you are protecting your partner somehow through like not sharing what is truly happening with you, or like keeping that away from them and sort of dealing with everything and all of these fears and doubts on your own. But I feel like what it is actually doing is like increasing the sense of dread or instability or uncertainty in your partner. And I don't mean to make you feel like this is somehow your fault or that you are doing something wrong, but it just feels like both of you seem to be operating from a bit of an idealistic or like this sort of perception that is not necessarily based in reality. And so yeah, it feels like, you know, so it feels like there's a highly imaginative energy in play here. And I mean, I did say that this doesn't mean like a third party thing necessarily, but just because we are getting another like Knight card, this could indicate, you know, that there is someone involved who was a part of this hasty or unthought through action that was being taken with the Fool in reverse that has led to this weird distance thing in this relationship. But again, you know, I'm just pointing it out there just in case it resonates for someone, but if it doesn't, then it doesn't. And I do quickly want to clarify the Knight of Swords as well in the goal. Could you please clarify? Okay, thank you. Oh, interesting. We have the Devil. Oh, yeah. Would you look at that? We have the Knight of Swords coming out in reverse as a clarifying energy. So, you know, clearly when two cards come out of the same or with the same energy, then this is just indicating that, you know, the message is the same. or, you know, it is what it is. Basically, I do get a very heightened sense of, you know, this energy talking about your partner and them being in a bit of a frazzled state, or even like a desperate state. Because, you know, with the devil being the underlying energy here too, this is another card of Capricorn, by the way. There is like heavy attachment, and there is a heavy dependability that I feel like, you know, again, it seems to be coming from your partner more so than you, where there is heavy fear of like losing you, or heavy fear of the relationship falling apart or something like that. And so, yeah, it just seems like they are trying to fix everything with like swift action, and just, you know, being very vocal or very sharing of their affection or emotion with you, or wanting to, you know, make you understand how much you mean to them or something like that. But it almost feels like they don't really actually realize that the like what you truly need, and how that isn't actually what you need at this time, and the things that they are going through on their own is like something that they need to go through, and that they need space to do that. Sorry, I don't know why I'm saying they, because I feel like it's talking about you, so that you need space to go through these things, and you need space to process everything that has happened and led you to this point. And you need space to sort of be on your own, to work all of this out. And again, where you ultimately want to go next from here. But I feel like, yeah, I feel like your person is not really doing that. And I don't know, I think I mentioned as well how, you know, the underlying energy is, the underlying energy was the Strength card, right? And even though it didn't actually come out in the spread here, we do have Strength coming out behind the Devil card, so it is making an appearance. And yeah, so ultimately what I feel like is happening here is like a test of relationship and a test of faith, and it seems to be quite a challenge. Honestly, I feel like for the both of you, but I do feel like, you know, I do feel like you seem to be the one who is like dealing with really the heavy stuff here, and they are just sort of trying to do what they can on their part to make a difference somehow, or to, again, like show their love, show their care to you. But yeah, for some reason I feel like right now things are just sort of not really connecting, and this process needs to happen sort of organically, where you come to some sort of realizations and come to some sort of clarity within yourself about your life and about the relationship as a whole, and then going from there. But let's close the reading out with some final oracle cards. This is going to be advice for you regarding this relationship and regarding this reading. So yeah, let's see, what sort of advice does Spirit have for you regarding this reading? Okay, that was quick. Okay, we have interesting. So I just want to point out that, you know, you may want to look at pile number 3's reading as well, because there could be something that resonates for you there. There are some similarities that I'm picking up on. And also, we just got the same piece of advice, and I shuffled these cards quite a few times. So this says, give your relationship a chance, work on your partnership. And so, you know, clearly this is an indication that there are some more difficult times to go through right now in order to deal with everything that is going on, and the reality and the changing nature or dynamic of the relationship. But I do feel like, you know, you are being encouraged to give it a chance, as the card says. Let's see what is underneath. We have calling in your soulmate. Your prayers, affirmations, and visualizations help bring you together. So yeah, I mean, because your partner is represented by the Lovers card too, like this is heavy energy of a soulmate, or, you know, a very, very strong soul bond between you and them. Even if, like, you know, right now there could be some issues or problems with it, but yeah, I just feel like it requires work on both of your parts in order to come out of this situation. But let's see, what else? What other advice do you have for pile number 4 regarding their reading? Okay, hang on, we have something. Oh, interesting. Okay, so we have let go of control issues. Allow this situation to unfold naturally. Oh my goodness, did I not just say that? I feel like I ended the reading with like saying how things need to organically, you know, work themselves through, and these changes need to happen organically. So I don't know, this one is funny to me. This is funny that that's coming up, because I honestly feel like this control issue is even stronger on your partner's like behalf, because of this Knight of Swords energy and this very strong energy of like wanting to make you hear them, wanting to push their conversation or their communication in your face almost. So I do feel like that is more so coming from their side of things. But yeah, just allowing these processes to take place naturally, right? And at the bottom of the deck, we have separation. Time apart from your partner is on the horizon. Yeah, so I feel like, you know, don't be alarmed of this card, because honestly, I feel like some of you may be even instigating that yourselves. You may be asking for some like time alone or some time by yourself to just work through all of this with the World card energy. But because we have the Hermit card as the outcome energy, you know, and it's coming out in reverse, it is indicating that prior to the outcome being Hermit in reversed, the Hermit is, you know, before that coming out upright, meaning that there is a period of like isolation or somewhat detaching from the partnership to figure things out for yourself, you know, really sitting with your feelings and emotions. And so it could be that, you know, some time apart, and that doesn't mean like actually, you know, breaking up or taking a break from the relationship or from the commitment, unless you want it, of course. But it could just indicate that some time where you can focus on your own needs and your own desires and everything, like really filling up your own cup, right? Because I feel like a lot of your time and attention has been put on this relationship as well, and taking care of this other person or your person and showing up for them and showing up for this relationship, as well as everything that has happened outside of the relationship too. I feel like it is a bit too much, and it could do you both some good to just sort of take some time for yourselves and you know, not have to focus on the relationship for the time being. But again, this is just advice, so this is not something that you need to necessarily do. But yeah, it feels like for some of you it could be something that you actually want to do. And for some of you, it could also be, you know, like a good sort of change or a good thing for the relationship to help these energies settle down a bit. Wow. Oh my goodness, pile number 4. I feel like this was such a roller coaster ride. I feel like there is so many serious energies that are tangled up in this whole space and this whole reading, that I truly empathize with you if, you know, this is what you are going through, because I honestly feel like it isn't easy. But I also feel like you absolutely have what it takes to do it, to do what needs to be done, and to get to a result that ultimately makes you happy. But yeah, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you so much for watching this reading. I truly, sincerely hope that something resonated with you. And if it did, please let me know. It would mean so much to me. But just, you know, if I don't see you in any of the other piles, then please take care of yourselves. And I am wishing you and your relationship all the best. And I hope to see you very soon in my next reading. Take care. Bye-bye.